too. As if he is actually there.
That is okay.
Now, when I was about 15 years old, I was playing at the Palace Theater. Paul Whiteman was playing at the Roxy Theater in New York on the bill with his own film, The King of Jazz. And I used to hang around the stage door, and whoever came in or out, I'd play the mouth organ, hoping someone would say, what a talented youngster this is.
Did they?
No. But one day, Whiteman's saxophone player, Frankie Trumbeller, heard me, liked what he heard, took me into Whiteman's dressing room, and he said, Paul, listen to this kid. And I played Poet and Peasant. And when I finished playing, Whiteman said, let me hear you play the Rhapsody in Blue. Not at the age of 15. I couldn't handle it. It was too tough. But I couldn't admit that to Whiteman. So I said, I don't like Rhapsody in Blue. So he turns to a young man I hadn't noticed before, and he said, how do you like that, George? That is how I met Gershwin.
For no particular reason, I'm drawn to saying, do you know anything by Vincent Newman, perhaps?
I know what drew you to say it. What drew him to say it is that the next number is by Vincent Newman. Don't be fooled by this. This is about as spontaneous as one of Edwina Curry's speeches. Now, I worked in the show composed by Vincent Newman, and I must tell you about this because there was a ballad in the show, and Ziegfeld, this was a Ziegfeld show, said, Larry, Vincent is unhappy because the ballad that's sung in the first act isn't being repeated. Could you play it instead of the number you're now doing? I said, well, Mr. Ziegfeld, you're the boss, and if you want me to change, of course I must. But the number that I'm playing, it was called I'm Glad I Waited. It's stopping the show. And forgive my saying it, Mr. Ziegfeld, I think that ballad is a bore. He said, look, Larry, suit yourself. I just wanted to make Mr. Humans happy. So I continued playing I'm Glad I Waited, which, as you know, is a household word. And the bore that I rejected was called Time on My Hands. I did it before, and I can do it again. But the one we're going to play now is T for Two, and it's Vincent Newman's piano roll. Just as it was George Gershwin before, you now again have the composer. And you might be interested to know that the lyric, T for two, two for T, you for me for T, was originally a dummy lyric. Irving Caesar, who wrote the words, just wrote it as any particular word just to fit the melody, to give him something to work on. But everybody liked the dummy lyric so well that it stayed in. And that is the lyric we now know, T for two.